Hello everyone, welcome back to my video. Here Annisa Nurfitriyani from class 4A, English Education Department. Learners have many various or different characters in the classroom, especially during learning. There are passive learners, active learners, or maybe slow and fast understanding skill of the lessons. We as a candidate of teacher must know how to deal with this situation, right? So, in this video, I would like to share to all of you about how to deal with different types of characters of young learners and principle of teaching English to young learners. So, without any further ado, let's begin our material. As we know, and active learners are learners who are involved intellectually and emotionally in learning activities. Active learners are learners who are continuously involved both physically and mentally in learning. Meanwhile, passive learners may quietly absorb information and knowledge without typically engaging with the information received or the learning experience. They may not interact with others, share insights, or contribute to a dialogue. So, we as a teacher, dealing with passive and active learners, we need to first vary the task. We can combine with listening, speaking, reading, writing, or maybe vocab and grammar. And the second one is give everyone equal chance to speak up. We don't have to give opportunity to active learners to speak up only, but we have to give opportunity to passive learners to speak up. And third one is give reinforcement, like compliment or a reward. And next is we have to walk around the class. So if we walk around the class, so everyone will get your or our attention, and the learners will be focused on the lessons. And we have to mix the passive and active learners in the same group. But you have to make sure that everyone does their job. And the next one is change the seating arrangement. Sometimes some students are passive because they think we as a teacher don't pay attention to them. So the passive learners think that we just pay attention to an active learners, and we have to call out their names. So if we call their name, they will more focus to our explanation, and we have to give motivation words. For example, if the passive students answer our question, we have to say, "Wow, that's a great idea." So the passive learners will be happy and they will enthusiasm in the learning, like that. And the last one is if the list that I have mentioned before, if they are fail, so we have to do personal approach if all lists fail. So we have to talk to the passive student personality outside in the class. So we know what problems of the passive student inside, like that. So next to the different types of characters of young learners, there are slow and fast learners. So a fast learner is someone who embodies the skills of being a strategic thinker and a good listener and applies them to learning quickly. Different with slow learners is a child or young learners of below average intelligence whose thinking skills and scholastic performance have developed significantly more slowly than these active learners or fast learners. Of course, in the classroom, there will be these two different student characters, right? So we as a teacher or we as a candidate of teacher, we have to know how to deal with these two different characters. So we need to first apply peer tutoring the fast learners tutors the slow, and then apply mixed group. So we have to mix fast and slow learners in one group discussion, and then do comprehension check, especially on the slow learners, and then ask question to both types. We don't focus only on the fast learners, or we focus on the slow learners. No, we have to focus to both of them. And then we have to walk around the class as we do to the passive and active learners. So they pay attention to our explanation, and then vary the learning methods and vary the level of difficulties of the text assignments or tasks. So the student not get bored in the classroom or not sleepy in the classroom. And change the seating arrangement regularly, and then give special treatment or attention to the slow learners. Or we have to give them a reward or a motivation if they answer our question, like we do to a passive learners, like wow, that's a great idea, or wow, good job, like that. So the slow learners will be happy, and they will be fighting, or will be enthusiasm in the learning, like that. And we have to give an extra exercise to the fast learners, because they have more ability in the understanding the lessons. And then give a remedial teaching to the slow learner, and then give feedback to the student, so students know their ability. And then do personal approach, like we do to the passive learners. So we have to talk to the slow learners, or talk to a specific learners if this needed, like that. So guys, that's how to deal with different types of characters of young learners. So we move to the next material, which is the principle of teaching English to the young learners. Okay, we move to the next material, which is the principle of teaching English to the young learners. So, in learning, have 4 principles, which is first one is implicit learning, and then contextual learning, learning centeredness, and last is meaningful learning. The first learning is implicit learning. Implicit learning more focused on young learners, or we can say implicit learning is subconsciously implied learning. For example, we between teacher and student sing together, watch movies, or playing games. So student having fun, even though unconsciously students are learning English through these activities. So we can say implicit learning is subconsciously learning. Okay, move to the contextual learning. Contextual learning is the actual use of the language. So, if you talk about animal to the student, don't just talk the animal only, but explain about the animal. So, with this contextual learning, we as a teacher teach vocab by practicing in communication. Okay, I will give an example. So, for example, this is a book. Okay, so we can apply the contextual learning with question and answer context. For example, we as a teacher ask to the student, what is this? So the student answer, this is a book. So the student not only answer a book, but they answer, this is a book, like that. So we teach how to talk about them, a vocab, like that. And the third one is learner-centeredness. Yeah, as we know, the point is the students are busy learning. For example, like discuss or group work. So in this learning, let students learn with their own ideas, like that. And the last learning principle is meaningful learning. So meaningful learning is connect between something students already know and they real life. Okay, For example, we as a teacher know that children know Doraemon. Okay, so use these characters in the learning. Or the question like, who here has ever been to the zoo, like that? So we have to ask about their experiences or about themselves. So why is it important for meaningful? So because it's easier to connect a learner's needs, and it's easy to connect to the material, so that you know before teaching to help students connect with the material. So guys, that are what I explained earlier about a principle of teaching English to the young learners. So why I explain about different types of characters of young learners and the principle of teaching to young learners. Why do I explain the both of them? Because the two of these learners or this lesson are related to each other. So when we know how character learners are, then we can choose which learning principle we should apply in the class, like that. So maybe that's enough from me. I'm so sorry if there are many lacks from my knowledge or from my how I explain to all of you. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I think that's all for me. I'm so sorry and thank you for watching my video. Last word, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.